Deep beneath the waters of the Mediterranean Sea, more than 5,000 sailors are working non-stop aboard the largest warship on the planet. But at this very moment, the most important mission isn't launching fighter jets or protecting national security. It's making sure every single person on board gets fed. Every day, Navy culinary specialists cook more than 17,000 meals inside kitchens that operate without ever shutting down. The daily food cost exceeds $60,000. One serious mistake inside this floating city could leave thousands of sailors without the fuel they need to function. And when you're operating a $13 billion aircraft carrier, going hungry is simply not an option. This is the untold story behind one of the most difficult kitchen operations ever created. The USS Gerald R. Ford is not only the largest aircraft carrier in the United States Navy, it is the biggest warship ever built in human history. Measuring 1,106 feet in length and weighing over 100,000 tons, this nuclear-powered giant can carry up to 90 aircraft while housing nearly 5,500 personnel during full deployment. Most people focus on the advanced fighter jets and high-tech defense systems on board, but several decks below the flight deck, another incredible operation is taking place. The ship's culinary team faces a challenge that would overwhelm even the most experienced civilian chefs. Every single day, they must prepare nearly 17,300 meals, including breakfast, lunch, dinner, and a fourth meal known as mid-rats for sailors working overnight shifts. Every meal must meet strict nutritional guidelines, accommodate allergies and religious restrictions, and still taste good enough to maintain morale during deployments that can last more than 7 months. These kitchens operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with absolutely no room for mistakes. If you respect the dedication of Navy culinary specialists, type proud in the comments below. The scale of the operation is almost impossible to imagine. Every single day aboard the carrier, the culinary team cooks around 1,600 pounds of meat. That's nearly 3/4 of a ton of chicken, beef, pork, and seafood. They also go through 350 pounds of lettuce, 160 gallons of milk, and 30 full cases of cereal daily. And the sailors on board consume approximately 20,000 cups of coffee every day, enough caffeine to keep an entire small city awake. The planning behind all of this is incredibly precise. Navy nutrition standards require male sailors to receive around 2,850 calories per day, while female sailors receive approximately 2,100 calories. These numbers are carefully calculated based on the physical demands of life aboard an aircraft carrier, where sailors climb steep ladders repeatedly, work near blazing hot jet engines, and spend long hours maintaining critical systems. But here's where things become even more impressive. The ship doesn't just carry food for a few days. During deployments, the USS Gerald R. Ford stores enough food to operate independently for long periods of time. Massive storage spaces throughout the ship contain hundreds of thousands of pounds of supplies, including fresh produce, frozen meats, dry goods, dairy products, and emergency rations, all organized carefully in climate-controlled compartments. Every 7 to 10 days, giant supply ships pull alongside the carrier, while both vessels are still moving through the ocean. Using cables and pulley systems, crews transfer anywhere from 400,000 to 700,000 pounds of food from the supply ship directly onto the carrier. This process is called underway replenishment, and it continues regardless of rough weather, heavy rain, or dangerous seas. No matter the conditions, the food has to arrive. Now you might be wondering who actually manages an operation this massive. The answer is a team of 114 Navy culinary specialists working rotating shifts around the clock to keep the kitchens running nonstop. These are not ordinary cooks. Every single one of them completes intensive training at the Navy's Culinary Specialist School in Fort Lee, Virginia. Their training is demanding and extremely detailed. Sailors learn professional knife skills, large-scale food production, strict sanitation procedures, and how to operate industrial kitchen equipment far larger than what most civilian chefs ever use. They cook with 80-gallon stock pots, massive industrial ovens, and tilting skillets capable of preparing hundreds of servings at once. But the training involves far more than cooking. Every culinary specialist is also trained for combat readiness. When general quarters is called, meaning the ship is preparing for possible combat, every sailor on board must report immediately to an assigned battle station. The cooks must instantly secure the galley and move to their emergency positions. Sometimes sailors standing in the chow line are forced to abandon their meals and rush straight to their stations. On a warship, combat readiness always comes first. The pressure inside the galley is relentless. Each cook is responsible for preparing approximately 150 meals every single day. They work in cramped spaces, constantly vibrating from the movement of the ship, while the thunder of fighter jets launching overhead shakes the entire structure. Temperatures inside the kitchens can become brutally hot, especially with multiple ovens and grills operating at the same time. And unlike civilian restaurants, these kitchens never close. But the hardest challenge isn't the heat or the workload. It's what happens when equipment suddenly fails. And on a ship this large, breakdowns are unavoidable. What happens when an industrial oven stops working and 2,000 sailors are expecting breakfast within 2 hours? The answer is incredible. One of the culinary team's biggest responsibilities is preventing menu fatigue. During deployments lasting months, repeatedly eating the same meals can destroy morale. To avoid this, Navy culinary specialists create rotating menu schedules that last between 14 and 21 days before repeating. This means the team must master hundreds of recipes and execute them with military precision. The menus are carefully planned to balance nutrition, comfort, and variety. Breakfast often includes made-to-order omelets, pancakes, bacon, sausage, and sometimes special treats like donuts or sweet rolls. Sailors know these items disappear quickly, which is why arriving early to the chow line matters. Lunch and dinner include everything from barbecue ribs and pasta dishes to Asian stir-fry, Mexican-inspired meals, and traditional American comfort food. During holidays, the culinary team creates massive special meals. Thanksgiving aboard an aircraft carrier involves roasting hundreds of turkeys while preparing traditional side dishes for every sailor on board. Dietary restrictions create another layer of complexity. The culinary specialists must accommodate kosher, halal, vegetarian, and vegan requirements while carefully managing food allergies and medical restrictions. Every meal service must provide options for sailors who cannot eat certain foods. Before we continue, take a moment to like this video and subscribe. More than 98% of viewers watch without subscribing. It costs nothing and helps us tremendously. The sourcing of ingredients also changes depending on where the carrier is deployed. When the USS Gerald R. Ford operated in the Mediterranean during 2023, the culinary team worked with suppliers from countries like Norway, Croatia, and Spain to bring fresh regional ingredients on board. This not only improves variety, but also allows sailors to experience flavors connected to the regions where they are serving. Life inside the galley follows a non-stop rhythm that never slows down. The day starts long before sunrise. The breakfast crew reports around 3:30 a.m. to begin preparation. By 6 a.m., the mess decks open and the first wave of hungry sailors begins pouring in. The mess deck operates similarly to a giant cafeteria, but instead of one serving line, there are multiple stations designed to keep thousands of sailors moving efficiently. Sailors grab trays and silverware before moving through the line selecting their meals. The entire setup is built for speed because seating space is limited and everyone needs to eat quickly before returning to duty. At busy hours, the line can stretch across multiple compartments and even up steep ladders. Sailors quickly learn that timing is everything. Arriving early usually means shorter waits, while peak periods can lead to lines lasting more than 30 minutes. And remember, many of these sailors are exhausted after long shifts. They're tired, hungry, and desperate for a hot meal before finally getting some sleep. Once breakfast ends around 9 a.m., the culinary team immediately begins preparing lunch while simultaneously cleaning and restocking the galley. Lunch usually runs from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m., followed by dinner service from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Then comes mid-rats, the overnight meal service for sailors working late-night shifts. Mid-rats creates unique challenges of its own. Overnight crews still require filling, nutritious meals, but fewer culinary specialists are available during those hours. The menu is often simpler, featuring comfort foods prepared in large batches and kept warm throughout the night. At the same time, preparation for future meals never stops. Bread is baked fresh every day. Vegetables are washed and chopped continuously. Meats are thawed, seasoned, and prepared for upcoming services. The entire operation functions like a giant machine where every person must perform their role perfectly. Running the largest floating kitchen in the world creates challenges that most civilian chefs could never imagine. Equipment breakdowns are a constant threat. Industrial ovens, grills, refrigeration systems, and cooking stations operate non-stop for months at a time, meaning failures are inevitable. The difference is that when you're hundreds of miles from shore, you can't simply call a repair company. The ship's engineers work closely with the culinary team to keep everything functioning. But when something fails during meal prep, the cooks must improvise immediately. If an oven goes down, the workload is redistributed to other equipment while the team fights to stay on schedule. Delaying service is not an option because sailors must return to their posts on time. Rough seas create even more difficulties. When the carrier pitches and rolls during bad weather, even simple cooking becomes dangerous. Imagine trying to flip pancakes or carry boiling liquids while the floor beneath you constantly moves. Culinary specialists quickly develop sea legs, learning how to balance themselves and work with the ship's motion. Waste management is also taken extremely seriously. On a ship this large, garbage cannot simply be dumped into the ocean. Waste must be sorted, processed, and stored until it can be properly disposed of in port or transferred to support ships. The culinary team works hard to reduce waste by accurately estimating portions and creatively repurposing leftovers whenever possible. Morale is another critical responsibility. The culinary specialists understand that during long deployments, a good meal can become the best part of someone's day. During the USS Gerald R. Ford Eastern Mediterranean deployment in late 2023, sailors worked exhausting schedules under heightened operational pressure. In response, the culinary team added special touches to meals, prepared care packages for sailors unable to visit the mess deck, and organized holiday-themed events. The team also handles special celebrations whenever possible. Birthdays often include freshly baked cakes. Promotions may feature custom desserts. These small gestures mean everything when you are living inside a steel warship thousands of miles away from home. The Navy invests heavily in culinary training because leadership understands that food directly affects combat readiness. Well-fed sailors stay more alert, maintain higher morale, and perform their duties more effectively. The culinary specialists aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford are not simply preparing meals, they are directly contributing to mission success. New culinary specialists arriving aboard the ship face a steep adjustment period. Even experienced cooks from busy civilian kitchens often become overwhelmed by the scale of operations. Senior petty officers mentor these new sailors, teaching them workflows, recipes, procedures, and expectations unique to carrier life. The Navy also hosts competitions designed to encourage excellence in food service. The Captain Edward F. Ney Memorial Award recognizes the top culinary operations across the Navy. Ships compete for this honor by demonstrating exceptional food quality, sanitation, nutrition, and customer service. The culinary team aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford consistently performs at elite levels, proving that excellence is possible even in the toughest environments. Cross-training is another essential part of the operation. Every culinary specialist has a primary role, but they are also trained to handle multiple positions. This flexibility becomes critical when sailors become sick, injured, or reassigned unexpectedly. A baker might suddenly need to work the grill line during an emergency. That versatility keeps the operation running smoothly under pressure. The culinary specialists also receive continuous education in nutrition, food safety, and modern cooking techniques. The Navy constantly updates its food service systems based on sailor feedback, nutritional research, and lessons learned from deployments around the world. When you step back and look at the bigger picture, the culinary operation aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford represents something extraordinary. It showcases military precision, American innovation, and the dedication of sailors performing a mission that rarely receives public recognition. These culinary specialists continue a tradition stretching back to the earliest days of naval warfare. Feeding sailors at sea has always been one of the most important parts of military operations. The famous saying that an army marches on its stomach applies equally to naval forces. You can possess the world's most advanced fighter jets, cutting-edge weapons, and highly trained crews. But without properly feeding your sailors, operational effectiveness falls apart. The culinary operation aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford also proves what becomes possible when skilled personnel, strong leadership, and proper resources come together. The fact that this team consistently delivers quality meals to thousands of sailors in one of the harshest environments imaginable deserves tremendous respect. For the sailors aboard the carrier, the mess deck is more than a cafeteria. It becomes a gathering place, a short escape from exhausting schedules, and a reminder of home. The smell of fresh bread, the comfort of a hot meal, and the camaraderie shared during chow all help sailors endure long deployments far away from family. American military personnel sacrifice enormously to serve their country. They spend months away from loved ones, work under extreme conditions, and perform difficult duties with professionalism every single day. The culinary specialists who keep them fed are a critical part of that mission, and their contribution to naval readiness cannot be overstated. The next time you sit down to eat at home, take a moment to think about the sailors aboard ships like the USS Gerald R. Ford. While you enjoy your meal in comfort, they are somewhere out on the ocean standing watch, protecting national interests and waiting in the chow line for food prepared by fellow sailors inside a kitchen that never stops operating. The culinary operation aboard the USS Gerald R. Ford is more than an incredible logistical achievement. It is a critical part of American naval power, carried out by dedicated professionals who understand the importance of their mission. From 3:30 a.m. breakfast preparation to midnight meal service, these sailors keep the largest warship on Earth functioning by ensuring every crew member receives nutritious, quality food. The next time someone talks about military strength, remember that it depends on thousands of small details executed perfectly every single day. Feeding 5,500 people at sea is one of those details. If this video gave you a new appreciation for Navy culinary specialists, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more stories honoring the incredible work of our armed forces.